Okay, returning with our conversations this morning, rotating around the logistic industry or the logistics business in the country, but pretty much focusing on cargo handling and cargo movement from the coast of East Africa to the interior, that is into Uganda. I'm still with Mr. John Samba as we continue to analyze the same matter this morning. When you look at the storage of cargo,
yes,
we have cargo that comes into the country, and well, during the clearing process, there's always a place where these goods are stored before the client comes back and clears everything, you know, the balances and everything. How secure are the goods for the clients, and what are the storage facilities that that most of the clients, choose or look at before they choose to work with, let's say, companies like Marine?
Okay. Thank you very much. With the storage of the cargo that is warehoused, for starters, it is mandatory that every cargo that jets into the country is warehoused first.
Okay.
It has to be entered into the warehouse on the IM7 regime. That's by URA. So URA has a list of bonded warehouses that they give license to, to keep these goods, store these items while they are still under the process of customs. So URA has a list of requirements for these warehouses to have. So before a warehouse is licensed to even keep any sort of goods, they have to fulfill those requirements first. I think about 2 months ago, they moved to, especially for the cargo that we handle, most of the times the group H cargo, consolidated cargo, they moved to gazette particular bonded warehouses to handle this particular cargo. And they first started with 2 warehouses, and then the consolidators under their body had to engage URA, because them choosing 2 warehouses without even considering the choice of the consolidators was actually not right. So they had to engage them. So URA agreed that they would increase the number of the gazetted warehouses. One of the reasons that they gave for these others missing out on the gazetting was because some of the requirements of the system, there's a warehouse management system that they run with URA. Some of the pre-qualifications had not been met, so they had not given them the option of handling group H cargo. But later they went ahead and 4 more or 2 more, so now the number has gone up. But some of the requirements are conformity with the kind of goods that you're going to have. One, you have to have enough storage space, because you're going to receive tons and tons of goods coming into the warehouse. Then secondly, you have to have the manpower and then the infrastructure, plus the equipment that's going to handle that cargo. You don't want to be handling clients' cargo, and at the end of the day, the cargo is going to be broken, or the cargo is going to be lost, or anything happens to the cargo and you're answerable. Then they have to have security as well. Security has to be in place to ensure that the goods are safe under your custody. They have to have cameras installed on all risky points, especially where they think they are blind spots. Someone could carry off cargo through that spot, and URA is either losing tax or the client himself is losing goods. So the cameras have to be in place. They have to have storage stacks. The shelves have to be in position to keep the goods in an orderly manner, and a whole lot of other requirements that they need to have for them to be gazetted by URA. So yes, I want to assure the clients that their goods are safe. And in the event that anything goes bad or really doesn't go to plan, the warehouse management is actually in place to cater for that. They will respond really quickly and they'll have to resolve that, because now once we hand over the goods to them, then they are the custodians of the goods, so they are responsible for the goods.
Okay. Yeah. And do we have any case scenarios whereby goods are returned to the coast? For example, a client comes in and orders for a different kind of good,
yes.
And then at the end of everything, there are different goods. I just want to look at these scenarios. Do we have them, and what really happens under certain circumstances?
Now, because the distance between us, the trade partners, is really huge, it's easier for you to pick an item from the exporting country to Uganda, because many of the importers are going to the same destination. So they pick and bring. Now the challenge is, and it's a challenge that we also have with our exports here, you are one exporter, you want to carry probably a few tons of grain to the country of import, the country that wants the goods. Now, because the requirements for you to carry those goods are really huge, you find yourself in a fix that just moving those tons that you have to that place is going to be a hurdle, really steep hurdle. So in the incidences where a client orders for goods here and they receive the goods and the goods are not what they ordered for, unfortunately the client is going to have to bear the loss, because the procedure that you would take to return that goods to the supplier that gave them to you is really long and tedious. Sometimes it's even close to impossible. It's the same scenario that really happens with the standards body here, UNBS. In case they found goods that were not conforming to the standards of the country, they give you two options. You either return the goods to the originating country, or they ban them. So you choose, and the banning is not even free of charge. You have to pay for the banning, because you're the one who brought the goods and they are actually not up to standard. So you face the consequences. So they'll ban them at a cost. Very expensive to you. Would rather ban than return the goods. So what in this case is doesn't have the suppliers that they deal with are really miles away. I might get away with it, but they also want to be cautious. If you lose business one client, that means they're going to affect the rest of the other clients that you have. What if word gets out that this particular client or supplier sells goods that they don't advertise, then the other clients will run. So it's on the reputation of the supplier to actually deliver what has been ordered for, so they can keep the business. Because business.
But of course, looking at the general kind of situation now, how is the market currently? Do we have, are we back to the pre-pandemic levels of importation, or the numbers are still low?
I will acknowledge that there is a change.
Okay.
We as the cargo handlers or the importers, we won't want to say we are back to the pre-COVID incidences or pre-COVID loads, but we want to say the numbers are improving.
Okay.
And the numbers are improving, and the businessmen are getting into the groove like they used to. Of course with the challenges, but it's better times, looks better times now than they were back then.
Okay. And of course, when you look, what are some of those majorly? When you look at, which destinations are we getting these goods from? Most of our clients. Okay,
most of our clients, you're going to realize that we have a consuming kind of economy. Most of the goods that we import are for consumption, especially the things we would think we would be producing here, but maybe we don't have the capacity to produce them here, but then we use them on a daily. They are mostly consumables. You will find the clothing, the bags, then we have the decoration materials, we have the spare parts for different machinery. Because we don't have the capacity to produce them here, but we still use them on a daily basis. So most of those goods have to be imported. And the biggest exporter to Uganda is China, because most of the consumables that we have are produced in China. Even when it's produced in another country somewhere, China will have a way of producing the same item. So since we all go to the same, it's like a consolidated market. We all go to the same market and find different things and then put them together and bring them here. So China is still our biggest exporter, or the country that we import from the most. The others would be Dubai. Dubai would come second to China. And then for the cars, Japan, of course, still it's that. You can't get cars from China, or even if you got cars from China, they wouldn't be sellable on the market here. So for different goods, we also have different country leaders in production of those goods. But like I said, the biggest aspect of our economy here is the consumption aspect. So most of the consumable goods we get are from China.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As we continue and try to sum up this kind of conversation in regards to the situation to do with cargo handling in the country and pretty much trying to understand the logistics world, I will come to an understanding that most of the goods that we have in Uganda are normally imported, I should say. It is just of late that the government is actually pushing for value addition, especially when it comes to goods being manufactured in Uganda, so that we can actually increase the exports. We have many Ugandans who actually go out of the country directly to make their orders and ship these particular goods, only to wait for them and for agencies to at least make sure that they follow up on this particular goods movement in one way or the other. But as we continue to have our conversation, it is time for us to get into our final take of this same matter. Lastly, when you look at cargo handling, how long does it take for these orders, by the way? If someone wants, let's say, goods from China, and they're going to come by a ship, and then you expect them to be here maybe late December, how long does it take for these goods to come to Uganda? If I am to make my order today, for example.
Now, the times are different now. They're actually shorter times now, shorter delivery times than before. That's why we need to advise our clients to always plan according to transit time. When a client makes an order for the goods in China and we receive them at the warehouse, between loading the goods on the vessel and the vessel arriving at the port, destination port in Mombasa, it takes about 16 days. 16 days unless there is a slight delay on the sea or somewhere at the port of departure. So after the goods have arrived at the port in Mombasa, take the cargo clearance through the port and transport allocations and everything that you have to do it there, it might take you at most 5 days for those goods to reach the warehouse in Kampala. Now, the rest of the time that could be longer or shorter depends on the customs part. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a little hectic for you to clear groupage cargo, consolidated cargo, because of the different aspects that have to do with it. You have 20 clients that you have to deal with in one container, which is different from a person that's handling one individual for one container. So the transit times are actually shorter. So in brief summary, you could need about 1 month for your goods to move from China to Kampala. Yeah, so the rest of the time would be spent on customs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. John Samba, your final remarks as we're winding up with our conversation this morning.
Yes, I would, thank you for the opportunity. I would want to thank our business community, our clientele, because they are actually the ones that are holding this whole matter together. Without them, we wouldn't be running the business anyway. So I would appeal to them to, one, always keep abreast of the current situations that are happening whatever is going on in the neighboring countries, because most of the trade that we do we do it with the neighboring countries, we do it within the community. So anything that happens in the community affects our trade as well, even when it's not happening here. There are challenges that happen here, but then there are bigger challenges that happen with our neighbors that actually greatly impact on us. So I want to advise them to always keep abreast. Where they feel they are lacking, always get back to us, reach out to us so we can advise them accordingly. Our doors are always open. They come in and we advise them, and more advice, they go back and things actually work out and they turn out better. So I only wish they could come to us more often. Yeah.
All right. And of course, that is Mr. John Samba from Maritime Cargo. All right, Maritime Cargo. And of course, he has been giving us more of an insightful view of what is happening from the world of logistics and, of course, cargo handling and movement from the coast of Mombasa to inland Kampala. But of course, as we are summing up with our conversation this morning, remember to kickstart off your investment with the Zabu platform. Zabu is a platform powered by Altex East Africa, and it does remind you to do something new always. Use the USSD code *292# to kickstart off your investment, and thereafter you will be able to register with your national identification number. And in the next 24 hours, you'll be able to invest with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. These markets are open from 8:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are fully open in regards to Monday to Friday, but only fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future, Altex East Africa, do something new. And well, for all the viewers of Smart 24 TV, and if you want to follow up on more business details, remember to download the Smart Digital app. That definitely gives you the chance to stream Smart 24 TV anywhere, anytime, by downloading it on the Google Play Store and the iOS. And then also, you should be reminded that you can as well as also get us on YouTube, that is still on the online platforms. And also remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel to receive more notifications in regards to business stories and other business discussions as well. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. The morning kick started off with Mercy Andrew and Mercy Katsimi and Andrew Barije. But for now, I wish you all the best for the day. Good morning till tomorrow. Have a good day.